Let's do a show. Let's do a show right now. What are we doing?
This is Kramer.
7:04, good morning. We're going to open up the phones with Scott Major of Major Paruas and the Storm Help Team. You can go to stormhelpteam.org to call us to get on the air. 850-233-9988. 850-233-9988. Morning, Scott.
Hey, pal.
How's it going? What you doing?
Things are great. It's a little bit warmer here than it is, there, but it's quite nice.
First of all, stormhelpteam.org, the website. You and I have been talking for a while now about where people are, seeing people in trailers. We were just talking about that on the show in the 6, seeing people in trailers all over the city and RVs. Sad. It's a necessity, but it's sad to see that people are still having to go back and forth with the insurance companies. We've talked about that. Every show we've talked about that and the need that people have to get their insurance companies to giddy up a little bit. Let's move it. Let's move along. It seems like everything's kind of getting gummy at this point.
No doubt about it. And I'll tell you, if you read the news reports, the media reports, in fact, an article came out yesterday saying that 75% of the claims have been resolved and that there aren't as many claims out there, even though there was some 100,000 claims out there, that most people have either gotten their money or the insurance company has declared the claims as closed. And so CFO and the governor is reporting that they're doing well. Obviously, they don't know that their definition of closed and people's definition of getting all the money that they deserve is two completely separate things. And, unfortunately, we are faced with a situation where people now have to retain lawyers and other professionals to help them to get their money. And you and I have talked about this. We have to create some better motivators for the insurance company to pay all the money now. We need to rebuild the city, and the sooner that we can get people to, band together and start hiring lawyers and other professionals, the sooner that we're going to get this money and our entire city and county rebuilt.
We have a long way to go. Just taking some cursory phone calls at the beginning of the show, it sounds like we have a tremendous, way to go. I think at this point, people are going back and forth. People are still, for God's sakes, people are still trying to get FEMA assistance, and they know that. And the reason why is because, we have this whole area, just zooming out here from some of the news. This was in the newspaper a couple of days ago. Bay County's Hurricane Michael insurance claims have risen, helping push total losses to more than $5 billion in Florida. And that's from the Office of Insurance Regulation, from their report. It says that as of January the 4th, the county still had by far the most Michael-related claims, with a total of 81,736 claims, up almost 2,000 from last month. The increase pushed the state's total estimated losses to over $5 billion. That is a lot of money, a lot of money.
And I can tell you that it's really more like $10 billion, because the way in which they estimate the damages doesn't necessarily take into account the actual damages that people have suffered but haven't reported. So make that estimate 10 to 15 billion as the real number. But again, and you and I have talked about this. I mean, almost everybody we talk to doesn't have their money or doesn't have all of their money. And I see this storm after storm after storm. The public gets duped into believing, that they're going to get paid immediately. And then 2, 3, 4 months later, they're still not where they need to be, and they're struggling. And if you read the most recent article from yesterday, the day before, stress, anxiety, depression is up. And you and I talked about this 10 weeks ago, that this was going to happen. It's frustrating when you just can't get, the results you need, and you don't know where to turn. And that is why we have spent the last 3 months, you and I, working to educate people and empower them. and tell them there is a remedy. There is a way to get your money, and you'll get it all. And if the insurance company doesn't pay, they may have to pay 2 or 3 times that amount, as a penalty. So we just need to work hard as we can to continue educating people and telling them that the time is now for you to get lawyers and other professionals involved and to make sure you've documented your damages. You've written to the insurance company and said, if my claim is closed, tell me. And if it's not, or even if it is, you owe me more money, please pay me the more money that I'm entitled to get.
Yeah, I'm reading from the news article. Meanwhile, 71.1% of claims have been closed. 70. That's what it says. 70.
I guess Kramer, 7 people out of 10 that you talk to, are saying, "Hey, I'm so happy. Things are great." 7/10 of the entire city and county, they're starting to rebuild. It's lunacy, and it's because their definition of closed is not the definition you and I have. And sometimes if somebody doesn't produce documents, they don't even know their claim has been closed, because how would you know? You're not an expert lawyer. You're not somebody who has this experience in this area. You think you're waiting on them to pay you, and meanwhile your claim's closed. So everybody who's listening needs to make sure that your claim is open out there. So if you are listening, or you know a friend, or you know a friend of a friend, or you know an enemy, you need to make sure that you tell them, write a letter to the insurance company, and email them and say, "Dear insurance company, I'm confirming that our claim is still open and monies are still owed. Please pay me all my monies. Love and kisses, you." And if you don't do that, you may have a claim that's closed and you don't even know it.
This was from News 13 just yesterday. The Restoration Association aimed to help homeowners struggling with their insurance companies following Michael. Yesterday morning, in fact, the association, it's a nonprofit organization, and they got together and, one homeowner said the most important thing people should look into is signing what are called limited assignment of benefits. That's the third paragraph of this story, assignment of benefits. Again, not to simplify anything or to insult anyone's intelligence, but I think, looking at these stories, sometimes I'm glad that I get you on the air so that we can go back over some of that information that people really do need, and they're going through that right now. Limited assignment of benefits until Hurricane Michael. For those of you listening, did you know what that meant? I did not. I don't think of myself as an idiot, and I know you don't either, but I don't think anybody really understood that whole concept. Why? Because we've never had to deal with it before. We've never, most people around here, if they got any kind of damage from, a Category 1 or a tropical storm, it wasn't anywhere significant like it is now. So let's kind of go back to limited assignment of benefits. Let's let you talk about that.
Sure. So what companies are doing, restoration companies, roofers, contractors, in some cases adjusters, what they're doing is getting you, the homeowner, the condo owner, the business owner, to assign the rights, that is to assign the recovery of the money, the payment of the money to them, and in exchange they claim or say, I will go ahead and fix your home, process your claim, etc. It sounds like a good deal because, geez, I don't have to pay anything. I just sign a piece of paper and the roofer will go ahead and get his money directly from the insurance company. The problem is that while in principle that is good, and oftentimes assignments do work well, the problem is, let's say you have a roofer and you assign the claim to him and he gets the money directly and then he doesn't perform. Well, you have no remedy except to go chase that roofer down who might not even be a roofer. You might not know who that person is. And you can't go after the insurance company because they've already paid those amounts of money. So what's very important is that when you're doing business with anyone, you need to make sure you got a licensed and insured contractor. Don't cheat. Don't go to somebody who's not licensed or insured. And make sure that when you have these so-called assignments, I personally would never sign an assignment. I think if you get a lawyer involved, like our law firm, for example, when we help people to get their property rebuilt, we will work directly with the roofer, the restoration company, the general contractor, and we will tell them, send us your scope of work and your entire proposal and give us the permits, and we help monitor those things so that they get paid as they perform work. And I've never had a reputable vendor say to me, well, I'm not going to start work unless you pay me all my money or give me an assignment of benefits, because they know that me as the lawyer is going to fight to get their money. But it's just you wouldn't know it, we wouldn't know it unless you had an educated person tell you that these can be dangerous things that can work against you. It doesn't always happen that way, but there's no reason why you shouldn't have the lawyer help you to monitor that. And we do that in the cases we have right now. And it plays an impact. And as you and I spoke about, I get involved in these cases, and they're writing checks because they know that they're going to have to start spending money on their own lawyers. And God forbid I have to sue, they're going to spend a lot more money on those lawyers.
Let's go to Deb. Now, Deb is from Gambrell and Sturgis, and she's on the radio with us sometimes. In fact, she's going to be on with us today. And I don't know if she has a comment or a question, but Deb, good morning.
Good morning. And Scott, thank you for the information you're sharing with the public. It is invaluable.
Thanks so much. That's so kind of you.
Well, I get to listen to you every Tuesday and Thursday as I'm coming in, so I really appreciate the information. We had one of our condominium owners ask a question, and they were a little bit shy about calling, so they asked me if we could do that for them. They moved to a condo a few months ago. They had their private rental. After the storm, there was so much damage at their condo, they had to move back to the rental home and take it off the rental market, which now would be a peak time for them since so many people are looking for it. The insurance company is saying this is not considered loss of use because they had somewhere else to go. What suggestions would you have for them?
Sure. Thanks for the question. Coverage D, which is the additional living expenses, or commonly referred to the loss of use provision, is what covers in this situation. If you are displaced from your home and you are not able to live there, and there is an expenditure associated with you going to another location, you're entitled to recover that. You are not required to eat your own rent that you would have gotten because you had to move into some home because you were fortunate enough to own another place. That happens to be a very good case that the lawyers aren't, if the adjusters aren't going to pay, the insurance adjusters, that might be a case you want to take to a lawyer, because just look at it antiseptically and ask yourself, do I have to leave my home because of a covered peril, because of the hurricane? If I did, then wherever I go, whatever the expenditure of that is, I will be able to recover that within reason. So in that situation, they will be able to recover it. And just because you have another place to go doesn't mean that you don't get your loss of use. But you have to check your specific policy provisions to see whether there's any definition which would restrict you. But in the facts you've given me, I think they have an excellent case to go forward and proceed against the insurance company.
Terrific. I appreciate the information, and I will ask her to give you a call.
Okay, thanks so much. Have a wonderful day, and good luck to you. And you know, Kramer, see these kinds of questions like this, and you understand that, you know, these people are playing, these insurance companies are playing with these insurance terms, and they're playing with these provisions, and the average person, even the intelligent people, you know, even lawyers I know who have damage suffered by the storm, they have no idea what it is that are their really, you know, their rights. They don't know that there are technical nuances in here that the insurance company is using that are accurate. They're not.
I find it, we got to take a break, but, you know, I find it curious and interesting that, people really don't know what's in their policy. I mean, my God, you would think people would know that is or is not in the policy. Second of all, I'm hearing that it'll be in the policy in one place, then in another place in the policy, they'll say, no, we're not doing that. That's not included. At another part in the policy. And let's talk about that, too, when we get back. We'll be right back. 850-233-9988.
This is the Kramer Show. Kramer Show. More to come on News Talk at 101.
Alex Jones from InfoWars, and you're listening to the Gorilla Kramer on News Talk 101.
Alex Jones, the man. We moved him from 8 p.m. to 10, from 8 to 10 to 12 to 2. So you can hear Alex 12 to 2. Might have him on again at some point soon. I've been back and forth with his peoples. Scott Major on the air, 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. That's his phone number. That's how to get in touch with him. So if you've got questions, I implore you to call him. And you know what? And I also implore you to call, even if you're not intending to necessarily hire him. If you have a question, he can at least guide you to where you need to go and who you need to talk to. Before we went to break, Scott, we were talking about how some people just don't know what's in their policies. And that really does say something about the whole business. Not that it's shady. I'm not trying to be, this guy that's against all the insurance companies and all that. But we are finding out that there is a game. And now that we've opened our eyes and we realize that there is a game, you need to learn everything that you can in order to play the game so that you come out and get what you're supposed to get. Now, if people have a policy and it says in the policy at one point that you get this or that's included, and then there's another part in the policy, question for you is, how often are you seeing that where it does say it in one part and then excludes it in another?
Sure. You do see that a lot. Let's start with the premise that insurance policies are policies of exclusion, not policies of inclusion, meaning that they tell you in the first several pages what is covered, and then in the next 30, they tell you what's not covered. And if you read any insurance policy, you'll see that in 100% of the policies, that most of the language talks about the exclusions. So you have a home, and the roof is destroyed by an event, and it sounds like that's a covered event, and then the insurance company says, well, no, you didn't maintain your roof properly, and that's why it failed, and so there's a wear and tear exclusion or a failure to maintain exclusion. Or you have a roof damage and water comes in, and you don't properly mitigate, you don't cover up the tarp soon enough, and it develops other water-related damages, and they say you failed to mitigate, and therefore you don't have coverage or you have much greatly reduced coverage. I think for every listener and every friend of every listener and every Facebook follower of every listener, what you should do is call your insurance agent, the person who sold you the insurance policy, your broker, your agent, or write them and say, I want 3 words from you. Summary of coverage. What I want to know is, here is my damage. I have roof, 6 pairs of shoes, a TV, a autographed football, and my mother's, coat. And I want to know which things are covered and what I need to be doing. And your insurance agent has a fiduciary duty to you to help you understand the policy. They're the ones who sold it to you. They are considered experts. So you can get free advice from your own insurance agent and your own insurance broker. Now, that's a very important thing for everybody to do, to lean on your experts, the persons who sold you the insurance. One of the problems is that some of the agents and brokers don't want to be aggressive about helping you because it's sort of biting the hand that feeds you. They don't want to complain to the insurance company that's giving them the right to, sell their insurance product. But for you, it is critical that you have your own expert, your own agent, tell you what is covered and what's not. The second thing you do is, whether you have an adjuster working for you or anybody else working for you that is helping you to recover, You ask them for a timeline. You say to them, or you write to them, hey, listen, when are you going to get a response to the insurance company that tells me how much money I'm going to pay? Give me the date. Put it in writing, or I'm not using you ever again. Or, when are you going to get a response? As you and I have talked about for 12 weeks, every time we write a letter, we put a time date. Please respond within 2 business days, with either payment or an explanation. Every person who's out there, if you think you have a great adjuster or a great lawyer, get them to tell you what the timeline is. Ask them to show you the correspondence they've sent to the insurance company. That will help you to expedite your claim. Does that make sense?
Yes. And that's what people are wanting.
And I'll tell you, a lot of people don't realize, Kramer, that their own agent who sold them the policy is supposed to be an expert. So there's no reason why you can't pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, here's my damages. I need you to tell me right now. Or come over to my house and tell me, I've been paying you, I paid the premium, you get a percentage of that. You need to tell me, what are all the things that are covered? What are the challenges? Or here's what the insurance company said to me. Is that true? Can I do that? And I'll tell you that if they don't know the answer to that, that's not only a frightening thing, but it's even more important that you get a lawyer or somebody who can read the policies in an expeditious way.
Scott Major from Major Paruas obviously knows what he's talking about. You got questions, line them up, 233-9988. Back in a sec.
The Kramer Show will be back in a sec on News Talk at 101. Diversifying America one show at a time. This is The Kramer Show on News Talk at 101.
Love and kisses you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the show with Scott Major. Scott Major of Major Paruas and the Storm Help team. Scott has, I was saying earlier, has been on the other side of this. So while you're listening to him talk, you're talking about someone who has experience on the insurance side, working for the insurance companies as a paid, a high, what do you call you guys? Sharpshooters, paid gun.
I was the lead counsel for one of the largest insurance companies in the world. So in other words, I was their national counsel. I coordinated the entire country's litigation in that particular division. And I worked on, underwriting, helping educate public adjusters, and private adjusters and insurance adjusters. And so I had the opportunity to see exactly how insurance companies run and what motivates them and what are the good things. In a positive way, what do you need to give to the insurance adjuster, to the insurance company, to motivate them to pay you more quickly? And so now we're using that effectively.
850-233-9988. That is our phone number, 850-233-9988, to get on the horn and ask Scott whatever you need. Phil.
Let me ask you, Kramer, what do you...
Hold on, Phil. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I apologize. Phil wanted to say something?
No, go ahead. We'll get to him.
Okay. What I was going to say is, do you think that the message is getting out for residents, say local homeowners or churchgoers, to band together and try to, write 10, 15, 20 letters for the entire block? Do you think that people are understanding that now that is a really helpful and powerful tool for them?
Yeah, because you have said that over and over again on the show, and I think it's really important, and that's why I kind of, sometimes I think I have you on the phone, and I think you're mentally going, is this guy for real? Because sometimes I'll bring something like that back up, and that's why. Because I think, and you do the same thing. I think we need to bring things like that back up, and there's a good reason why your church needs to get together and have you speak, or residents need to get together and band together and call you because they all have similar damage, and you build the case by doing that. Scott has said that many times.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and I think that your neighbor is your friend. Your churchgoer truly is your friend when it comes to these kinds of claims. It is not that I need to make a claim and not tell my neighbor or keep it a secret. It's the opposite. The more that we can send these kinds of letters out or push an entire community onto the insurance companies, even if they're different companies, the better chance we have to get recovery. So if I have 10 homes that are on the same block and I get recovery for one, I can use that recovery on the one as a leverage tool against the other 9. Why wouldn't everybody do that? The only reason why they wouldn't is because they didn't know that that was a tool, or they didn't know that we could use that strategy.
Phil, sorry to cut you off, but you're up with
okay.
Scott Major. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a simple question. This is more towards the mortgage lending companies themselves. I have an issue with my mother. She sustained some severe damage to her house in Chipley. So the insurance came out. The adjuster came out. He did a quote. She got a check right away. It was really nice. You know, we thought this is going to be great. The check came with my mother's name on it and the lending company's mortgage holder name as well, First Federal. So anyway, we called them up. We tell them we have this check. They were like, okay, this is what you need to do. Get her to endorse it, send it to us, overnight mail. We'll send an adjuster out or an inspector out. Once we satisfy our fact that 90% of the construction work has been done, we cut the whole check right back to you. I thought, great. This situation with my mother was she was able to actually do a lot of the repairs. She had enough money to basically do the repairs herself. So by the time the inspector had come, there was well over 90% of the work done. Now, I wasn't there when he was there, and I didn't get a chance to ask him what his inspection, basically entailed and how much he thought was done. But needless to say, this has been over 2 months now, and the only thing left to do on my mother's house is to just put a new carport, which wasn't actually part of the structure. It wasn't attached to the home, and yet the mortgage lending company has not sent her a single dime yet. And I'm wondering what recourse do we have against the mortgage company, not so much the insurance companies. I don't know if you, and I apologize if you guys have answered this question already or hit on this topic before, but I'm not the only one who I spoke to. That has this situation. I know a lot of people that have already received their insurance company's checks and have sent them to the lending company, the mortgage holder companies, and these mortgage companies are the one that are holding back the funds now. And
thanks, Phil, for the question. And yes. It is a question that comes up after every major storm. The documents that govern what a mortgage company can or must do is your mortgage document. There'll be a provision, a paragraph in there that will tell you how the mortgage company should proceed, that they can hold the money for a period of time or that they can perform an inspection. They can't just make up a set of facts and say, you send it to me and then we'll decide when we're going to send an inspector out. If they fail to provide you with the money immediately, then what happens is you have either a breach of that mortgage contract or you have what's called a civil theft claim, that they are wrongfully withholding funds without justification. Either claim is cognizable in a court of law and can help you recover your attorney's fees. So some lawyers will actually take that case and not charge you, go seek their fees from the other side. It's important to all the listeners that when you all are having a mortgage company involved and they're going to get a portion of the check, to pull out your mortgage document and find the provision. And if you don't know, ask the person who did your closing, the real estate, or your mortgage broker to show you the provision, or call us. And that provision will say, we hold the check until X time, or we will send somebody out. It actually prescribes what they can and can't do. The second thing you all should do is, before you endorse any check in the future over to a mortgage company, get in writing what they're going to do and when they're going to do it. I'm going to send you this check. I need you to tell me when an inspector will be out, give me the date and time and the criteria or qualifications for when I will receive my money back. They'll generally write you an email back and tell you, and then you can hold their feet to the fire. What's happening with many people is they just turn over the check. The mortgage company did that, and then the mortgage company just takes its time because it's not in the business of fixing homes. It's in the business of holding mortgages and collecting money. They don't really know how to run these claims, and then they end up using your money, depositing it, and theoretically making interest and making money off your money. So it's very important. The principal purpose of the mortgage is to make sure that you repair the property, And if you've repaired it, they ought to pay you. So hopefully that gives you and the listeners important information. Step one, look at the provision in the mortgage. Step two, write a letter to the mortgage company having them tell you what they need to do. And step three, proceed forward. In some cases, you can actually call the mortgage company up and say, here's my list of repairs. I need you to approve them. And will you sign off on this? And you can go to your local bank and the manager will sign off on the check and you can keep the money. You can also try that technique.
Thank you.
Sure. Have a great day and thanks for the call.
Sorry. To get in touch with Scott Major, thank you, Phil. Call 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. The mortgage companies don't necessarily, they're not motivated necessarily to do things quickly as well. Is that correct?
Well, yes. I mean, if you think about it, what the mortgage company wants to do in principle is just to make sure the home is fixed because they have a lien. They want that home as valuable as possible. So the principal motivation would be, hey, get your house fixed as quickly as possible. Get it fixed with the proper people so that there isn't any code violations. That's great. In actual reality, in practical reality, they don't have really good processes in place because that's not what their business is. And so oftentimes you get these delays or you have, candidly, the people in the company, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. It's just not a high priority for them. Unfortunately, it's a high priority for you, and that is why yet another complication that you and I have talked about, why you need experts involved so that when you get a check, you don't just endorse it and become a prisoner of yet another company.
That's the thing. And then, I tell you, it really, when you start thinking about it, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's just
really
it's
frustrating.
really. And again, not to overstate this too, but I just don't see how anybody could do this on their own.
Right.
That's not to sound salesy or addy, pitchy or whatever you want to call it. It's just I don't understand how anybody could ever go through this whole process on their own. People just don't have time. I mean, people are out trying to. People are, for God's sakes, people are still cleaning up their property. They're still, I'm still cleaning up crap. I got crap all over the place. And you have a life, you got kids functions at schools, you've got work. Everybody's doing extra work because everybody's hurting, so everybody's short on people. It's a really, really tough time. So, getting somebody like Major in on this whole thing would be absolutely, at this point, essential.
Hey, Scott.
You see how complicated these things are. Seems like every radio show you and I talk, you get a question, and it's a new set of technical complications that how could you possibly know? You and I made the joke. If I gave the insurance policy to 10 lawyers, not 10 lawyers, probably 10, maybe 9 3/4, wouldn't even know what their coverage was or not. Nobody looks at their policy. It's complicated. So it's just the reality of, look at the situation now. Everybody doesn't have their money. How are you going to get your money? You're going to keep doing the same thing. Einstein said the biggest mistake people can make in insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's sad. It's frustrating. It's angering. You and I how passionate I am about it. We just have got to get people to understand you got to take the next step. You got to get professionals involved who know what they're doing. And for those professionals, you got to put some timelines on them.
Yeah, there's too much going on. It really is absolutely frustrating. To call and get on the air, 850-233-9988. What do you want, Dwight? What's up?
Debbie from Gabrielle and Sturgis wants to ask Scott Major another question.
Okay, yeah.
Fire away.
Let's do it. Here comes Deb. Deb from Gabrielle and Sturgis. Gabrielle and Sturgis is on this morning at 8. Go ahead, Deb.
Hey, Scott, sorry to bother you again, but we did have one.
No worries.
And I've already talked to the other person, and she'll be calling you and said thank you very much for your advice.
Anytime.
We have had a couple of HO6 unit owner carriers that will not process the loss assessment claim without a detailed list of repairs that are being done at the condominium and the amounts paid for each showing that they have met their deductible. Is that acceptable?
It is not acceptable on your own HO6 policy. Essentially, when you buy a policy for the drywall in, your own policy, and you have a loss, you're entitled to be paid for that loss. That is that is in contrast to a giant condominium where the insurance company wants to make sure that you've paid your deductible, and if you have, they have to pay the rest of it. But all they do, in reality, is deduct the deductible. So if your deductible was $1,000 and they were concerned about not paying the deductible, they have to pay. They can't refuse to pay until you exhaust your deductible. Just another delay tactic that they are using. And depending upon your insurance policy, they may be in bad faith in the way in which they're processing their claim. The thing I would tell you guys to do is to write the insurance company and tell them, here is what our damages are. You need to pay those damages within 3 business days, or you need to explain to me in detail what insurance provisions, what statutes you're relying on in claiming that you don't have to pay me. And they won't be able to write back with any intelligence, or if they do, that will be Exhibit 1 in the 624-155 civil remedies notice you're going to send to the state, or number 2, in the lawsuit we're going to file that you're going to win all your attorney's fees on. So it's my opinion that when you get these kinds of nonsensical things from insurance companies, and that won't be the only one, that you write them and say, please state to me the exact language in the insurance policy, the exact statutory authority that you have for, quote, blah, 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 blah. And you will find that it is a very powerful antidote to the particular solution or problem that you have. And then if they don't give you a suitable response, it's going to speak volume.
Okay, terrific.
Sense?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Anytime. You be well.
All right. Bye, Scott.
Boom. How about that? Another one down. 850-233-9988. If you got a question for Scott Major, then light them up. You can call us 850-233-9988. Their website address, stormhelpteam.org, stormhelpteam.org. And to get in touch on the phone, 844-800-LAWS. It's that simple, 844-800-LAWS. Back in just a moment. Stand by.
This is The Kramer Show. More to come on News Talk at 101.
$7:52. It's The Kramer Show. It's News Talk at 101. It's The Kramer Show. Scott Major joining us as he does every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. 7 to 8, you get free legal advice. You can light up the phones. Scott has over 30 years doing this stuff. He knows what he's talking about. Instantly, he knows. He can rattle off statutes. The man is a pure genius. Let me ask you something, Scott. This is a personal question. What? Not a personal question, but just a question from me to you as my genuine curiosity kind of peaks. Because I asked this in the 6 this morning. I asked people, where are we right now? It's such a broad question. I said, where are we? Meaning, what are you dealing with right now? What are the issues? And my question to you is, right now, from a legal standpoint, what is the biggest hurdle that people are incurring at this point in this process?
Biggest problem is a insurance company not fully paying you for all of your claims, and the insured, the business owner, the homeowner, the condo owner, not providing the insurance company with a full, detailed, organized with photographs, video, and receipts estimate of their damage. In other words, not relying on the insurance company, but getting your own detailed evaluation, which could include engineering if you have structural issues or window issues. And I think that is the biggest challenge that is facing, the people who are trying to get money, and the biggest weapon that the insurance company is using. Geez, we don't have enough information. Based on our evaluation of the claim, we've only come up with 40%, 30% of the damage. And then you're first now saying, well, I think I have more damage because my general contractor said so. And yet you haven't provided the detailed estimate to them that shows that this is really all of your damages, and they haven't challenged them back. The second biggest problem is insurance companies are writing denial letters or are closing your claim based on reasons which either you don't know about or which you don't understand. And most people aren't following up with their adjusters or on their own to make sure that that claim is being processed and that there is an exchange of information between the insurance company and you, that they're telling you exactly the status of your claim and where your money's at. Those are the two biggest challenges, and I see this after every storm, major storm, these delays and people in disbelief, frustrated and angry, but unaware of lawyers like us or other professionals who can expedite and challenge the insurance company to show them where the money is.
Pete, we got to make this quick. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, just along the same lines as that mortgage company question earlier. The mortgage company is holding money now, and they refuse to release the money unless the contractors give them about 4 or 5 different documents. And what happens is a lot of contractors right now, since that's the issue, they won't even deal with you because it's not worth their time. Is there anything legally that you can do to get better assistance out of the mortgage company?
Sure. Quickly, the answer: check your mortgage document to see what specifically is required by them so they're not making up new conditions. And secondly, if you can't find a contractor to do the job, call us at 844-800-LAWS, and I'll recommend somebody to you who will do the job.
There you go. 844-800-LAWS. Their website, stormhelpteam.org. I cannot believe we went through an hour, and I didn't push into getting a hugs and kisses you. I didn't, a whole hour. This has got to be a first.
No discussion of donuts. Nothing, I mean.
No, I know. I know. Scott, it was a brilliant hour. Thank you very kindly for being on, and it's so helpful. Thank you so much again.
Thanks a lot, pal, and thanks for everything you do for the community. Really appreciate it.
Right back at you, Mr. Major. I'll talk to you soon, my friend. There he is, Scott Major from Major Paruas. Deb and Brenda, center stage next from Gambrell and Sturgis. Again, same applies. Phones open for you and your questions. 850-233-9988. We'll be right back.